Yeah. Hi guys. Good evening. In the last class, we discussed about what is database and what is database server and database client. What is database server and database client? Database server is used to store the data. Database server is used to store the data and a database client is used to communicate with the database server. Database client will communicate with the database server by using SQL. So we will install server software first, then we will install client software. By using client software, we will communicate with server software. Client is used to execute our SQL queries. If you want to create the table or if you want to insert the record or update any operation that you want to perform, for that we are going to write SQL queries. Perfect. Then after, if I want to communicate with my Java application, I want to communicate with the database using my Java application. To communicate with the database using Java, we need a mediator. That mediator is JDBC. JDBC is one API provided by Sun Microsystem. For that API, database vendors provided implementation. So there are so many databases available in the market. All the database vendors provided implementation for JDBC API. Oracle provided, MySQL provided, and SQL Server, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, like that. There are so many databases available. They provided implementation for JDBC. In that implementation, they provided one driver. Hello, last person. What are you doing? Huh? Close your laptop. After class completed, you can do the practice. Close it. Yeah, right. So JDBC is a API which is used as a mediator between Java program and database. Now, here guys, when we go for JDBC API, there are several implementations available. Those database software vendors provided the implementation. What is the meaning of implementation? Writing the classes, writing the methods, writing the logic. What logic they have written? Connect with the database, execute the queries. So now database vendors provided the implementation to communicate with the database software and execute the queries in the database. All right. Now, as part of that implementation, they provided drivers. Every database is having its own driver. What is the driver? Driver is a program which will establish communication between Java database. Not only Java, even if you go for Python also, if Python wants to connect with the database, they need a driver. If .NET wants to connect with a database, they need a driver. If Java wants to connect with the database, Java drivers are required. So here, Oracle driver is available, MySQL driver available. If you want to connect with any database, that database driver we need to use and we can connect to the database. Right. In the database, in the JDBC, there are several interfaces available. Yesterday we discussed about them. What are the interfaces available? Driver, connection, statement, prepared statement, callable statement, result set, row set. Like that, there are so many interfaces available in the JDBC API. Driver is used to establish the connection. The connection which is established between the Java and the database will be represented by connection object. Now, once connection is established, we can execute our queries. To execute the queries, we have one object called statement. If you want to execute select query, insert query, update query, delete query, anything, you can execute by using statement. Similarly, we have prepared statement also. Statement, prepared statement, both are used to execute our SQL queries. What is the purpose of callable statement? Callable statement is used to call the procedure and function. What is a procedure? Come on. What is a procedure? Set of SQL queries. SQL programs are called as SQL procedures. Oracle database we can use to execute a procedure. Procedure nothing but collection of queries as a program. Like if condition, else condition, break, return, try, catch, all these programming concepts also will be available in the database. That is called procedure. Similarly, we can write a function. Right now, next one. We discussed about result set. What is the purpose of result set? What is the purpose of result set? Result set is used to represent the data which we retrieved from the database. What is the purpose of select query? Select star from table. I'm going to retrieve the data. When we retrieve the data from the database by using Java program, that data we are going to get in the form of result set. Right. Similarly, row set will be available to represent the rows available in the result set. Driver, connection, statement, prepared statement, callable statement, result set, row set. Coming to the classes, what are the classes available? Driver manager class available, types class available, date class also available, java.sql.date. Earlier we have seen util date. Now here we will see SQL date. And exception. What exception is available here? SQL exception available. If any program, if any issue we get, any problem occur while JDBC program is executing, then we are going to get SQL exception. So these are JDBC API components. We need to understand how to work with all these components. Next one. Set of steps we need to follow to develop our JDBC program to communicate with the database. What are those steps? Can you tell me? First one is load the driver. Second one, get the connection, create the statement, execute the query, process the result, close the connection. Is it mandatory to close the connection? Yes. Why? Every database will have limited number of connection, maybe 100, maybe 200, maybe 1000. So assume that there are 1000 connections available, 1000 programs available in the project. Every program getting a connection from the database but not closing. What about 1001 program? It cannot get the connection because all the 1000 connections given to 1000 programs, they did not close the connection. They did not close the connection. So that's why it is always recommended to close the connection once our work is completed. Next one. Here, I want to develop a program which will insert one record into MySQL database. Which will insert one record into MySQL database. Now here, set up database and table in MySQL database. Set up database and a table in MySQL DB. In the MySQL database, we are connecting with MySQL database by using Workbench. What is the purpose of Workbench? Workbench is a client software which is used to write the queries to communicate with the server software. MySQL Workbench is a client software which is used to communicate with the server software. Now, after connecting with the I hope all of you know how to connect with MySQL. You know how to use my Workbench, right? Yes or no? No. No. What database you are using in the Oracle classes? MySQL. How you are connecting with MySQL? Command prompt? Huh? Okay, I mean to say from like this, SQL command line, something like this. I forgot what is that. Yeah, MySQL command line client. 1 minute. Yeah. Are you connecting like this? Yes or no? Like this you are connecting. Yeah, that is also fine. So that is one client software which is used to connect with MySQL database. Instead of that, I'm using MySQL Workbench. MySQL Workbench is a client software which is used to execute the queries to connect with the database. So now you can download MySQL Workbench. Let me open that once again, you will understand. Let me go to MySQL Workbench. It's a free software you can download from Google. Once you open this MySQL Workbench, it will provide you graphical user interface to connect with the database to execute the queries. Once you open MySQL Workbench, here there is an option called file, new connections are available, new model is available, and MySQL connections available here. Click on plus symbol, it will ask you to connect with that. Connection name and database host name. Host name represents where our database server is available. Where is my database server? In the same machine. That will be represented as a local host. 127.0.0.1, that is equal to local host. Database port number 3306. Database username and database password. Enter the password. Click on OK. After that, you can execute test connection. Now, let me give my connection name Advanced Java Database, Advanced Java DB. Right. So this is host name, local host, port number 3306, username I have given as Ashok IT, and password @123. Click on OK. Click on test connection. What it is asking? Password. Save password. OK. Connection successful. Click on OK. Test connection. It is successful. Click on OK. Now Advanced Java database connection is created. Now every day I no need to open, enter username, password, not required. I already created a connection. Every day I will open my workbench. I will double click on this. Then it will connect to my database server software. Once we connected to database server software, we need to execute a command called show databases. Run this query here. When I execute, I am writing the query here. Select the query and execute this command. Click on this button, run button. When I run this, what it is showing? Existing databases it is showing. Now I want to create one database, right? What is the purpose of show databases? It will display all the existing databases, existing schemas in the MySQL. Now there are some databases available. Now I want to create one more database. Create database. I'm taking Advanced Java DB. Okay. Advanced Java DB. For our batch, I'm creating one database. Semicolon. Select this query. Enter. Now here console will display what is the status of that query. Database created. One row affected. Now execute show databases. Advanced Java database should display. Can you see that? Is it visible? Database is created. Yes. So what is the purpose of show databases and create database? Come on. Show databases is a command which is used to display all the existing databases in the MySQL. What is the purpose of create a database? To create a new database in the database server software. Now I have created the database. Now I want to use that database. How to use that database? Use database name. That means there are several databases in my MySQL. From those, I want to use this particular database today. I want to perform my operations in the Advanced Java database. It is like a schema in the database. So what is a schema? Schema is like a partition in the database. Group. All the employee related tables I will create in one schema. All books related tables I will create in one schema. All products related tables I will create in one schema. Like that we can group the tables in the database by using schema concept. Now here I have JRTP database project purpose. I have SBMS database Spring Boot purpose. Now I created Advanced Java database. all our tables will be created under advanced Java database. Use the database. Yes, I'm able to select this database. After selecting this database, let's execute a query called show tables. What is the purpose of show tables? What is the purpose of show tables, guys? It will display what all the tables available in my database. Is there any table in my database? No, currently table is not available in my database. Let me take these queries now. Yeah, show databases. What is the purpose of show databases? To display list of databases available. To display list of databases available. Okay, this is the query. I'm giving the query like this. Dollar means execute that query. Hash means comment. Okay. Now create a database. What is the purpose of create database? To create a new database in DB server. To create a new database in database server. Use database to select database to perform our operations. Where you want to perform your operations, for that we need to select that database. Next one. What is the purpose of show tables? To display all tables available in the database. Show tables is a command which is used to display all the tables available in the database. Are you clear? Good. Next one. I want to create one table. Create one table in the database. Now, how to create a table in the database? Create table in the database. Right. Can you tell me the query? Create. Come on. Create table. Table name. Books table I'm going to take. Create a table. Table name is books. Next one. Parenthesis. Open. Close. What is the purpose of the parenthesis here? To represent what columns we want in the database. To represent what columns we want in the database. Book ID, I want it as a number type. In the Oracle, it is a number. In the MySQL, it is a int. Book ID, int type I am taking. That means it is a number. Book name I am going to take as a varchar. And book price I am taking. Book price is a number. So number means I'm taking it as a integer. All right. So like this, I'm taking a table. Create a table, books, book ID, integer, and book name, varchar, book price, int. This int I want to specify as a decimal value. Book price can be a decimal, double type, right? So for that I'm specifying int of 10,2 and varchar. So you can specify length also for the varchar. Integer, you can specify length also for the book ID. Like this, I'm going to create one table in the database. Create table, table name. Book ID into type. That should be a number type. Book name, it should be a character type, varchar. Book price, again it is a number type, but decimal values are allowed for the book price. So this is my query which is used to create a table in the database. Are you clear? Good. We are working with JDBC. When we are working with JDBC, first we need to create the table, then we need to develop the application. But creating the tables is our requirement or universal requirement? Universal requirement. When you go for a Hibernate, you no need to create the table. Hibernate will create the tables automatically if they are not available. Understand my point? So in the JDBC, as a programmer, we need to create the table, then we need to perform the operation. But to be frank, from last 6-7 years onwards, I never created a table in the database directly. Why? We are using Hibernate in the project. If we use a Hibernate in the project, Hibernate will create tables automatically if they are not available. I'm trying to insert a record into book table. Hibernate is very intelligent. Hibernate will check this person want to insert a record in the book table. Book table is available or not. Book table is available. Okay. If it is available, insert that. If the book table is not available, oh, programmer is asking me to insert a record. Without a table, how can I insert a record? Let me create the table, then let me insert the record. That maturity is there for a Hibernate. That maturity is not there for JDBC. Why? Why? JDBC is very old concept. Very old concept. Understand? Are you clear with my point? So JDBC does not have that much maturity to understand table is available or not available. If the table is available, then only it will perform operation. But if you go to Hibernate, Hibernate is having maturity. Hibernate is next gen kit. You know next gen kit? What is next gen kit? Next generation, right? Next generation. Right. Fine. So this is the query which is used to create a table in MySQL database. I'm not sure. Let's try. Syntactically, is it correct or not? Maybe bhul gaya yaar. हाँ. Create a table, books, book ID, integer, book name, varchar, book price, integer type. I'm taking. Okay. Select this and execute. Huh. Check it. Table is created. Create table books. Yes, table is created in the database successfully. So with this, our table is ready, guys. Once the table is created successfully, let us perform some commit. What is the meaning of commit? Permanently save that operation. Whatever the operation we done, that operation should be stored permanently in the database. That's why I committed my transaction. Okay. So this is our query which is used to create the table. After table is created, I have just done commit. That means I am saving my operation permanently in the database. So before going to start our JDBC program development, we need to complete our database setup like this. Connect with MySQL database using Workbench. Connect to MySQL database server using MySQL Workbench. MySQL Workbench is a client to connect with the database server. To display list of databases available, show databases is the command. Now, I don't have any databases because it is a brand new database server. I want to create one database. In order to create a database, we will use a command called create a database name. To select a particular database, we are using a command called use database name. Now, to display what all the tables available in the database, I'm using a command called show tables. Then I want to create a table in the database. Create a table, table name and columns. I'm taking 3 columns in the database table, right? So now once the table is created, then commit, so that whatever the operation we have done, that operation will be saved successfully. So with this, our table is ready. Good. Now I want to develop a JDBC program to insert the record into that database table. I want to develop a JDBC program to insert the record into that database table. So we have 6 steps. What are the 6 steps? Come on. Load the driver. Load the driver. Why we need to load the driver? I want to communicate with the database. My Java is available. My Java program is available. My Java program want to connect with the database. For that, we don't know how to connect. We don't know how to connect. We don't know how to connect Java program with the database. For that, we need to go for a driver. I'm using MySQL database. So which driver I need to use? MySQL driver I need to use. MySQL driver I need to use. So first we need to load the driver. Driver is also one class. What is that, guys? Driver is also one class, which is a Java class. We are Java developers. We will use MySQL driver, which can connect with the Java program. For that, they provided one Java class, which will act as a driver. That driver we need to load. That driver we need to load. After loading the driver, what is the next step? Get the connection. Get the connection. To get the connection, directly driver will get the connection, or I need to tell to driver where is my database. I will book a cab. I will go down. I will book one auto. I want to go my home. I will sleep in the auto. What will happen? Does he know where is my house? I need to tell him the address. Take right, go left, take go straight, like that. Similarly, if you just load the driver, it is not sufficient. You need to tell to the driver where is your database, what is the username of the database, what is the password of the database. Username, password, URL. If you give these three details for the driver, then driver will get the connection. If your username, password and URL is correct, then driver will get the connection. Load the driver, get the connection. After getting the connection, create a statement. Why we need to create a statement? I want to execute a query. If I want to execute a query, statement is mandatory. Either statement or prepared statement. We will understand what is the difference. First, I will go with the statement. By using that statement, I will execute a query. Once the query is executed, database will give some result. When I execute my query, database will give some result. Capture that result. Capture that result. Do the operation. Either print the or send the result to the user. Display the result in the web page. Whatever you want, you can do it. Process the result. Once the result processing is completed, my work is completed. Close the connection so that somebody can, some other program can reuse the same connection. Are you clear with the steps now? Yes. Can we convert those steps into Java program? See, we understood theoretically, load the driver, get the connection, create statement, execute query, process the result, close the connection. Theoretically, we understood. Now we need to convert them into executable program. I want to insert one record into MySQL database table using Java program. Are you clear, guys? Yes. Chalo. Let's develop our first application by using JDBC. File, new Java project, new Java project, MySQL DB CRUD operations. My application name is MySQL JDBC, MySQL JDBC, MySQL database CRUD operations. Click on next and click on finish. Yeah. So with this, our project is created. Inside the project, SRC folder is available. Our project got created. In this project, we have SRC folder. There we need to create our class. Okay. I'm creating one class called insert book. My class name I'm taking as a insert book. Yeah. Insert book. Package name. Yes, if you want, we can give that. Insert book. Yeah. A class is created with a main method. A class is created with a class is created. Let me write a main method. We got main method. Now let me write the steps now. Step 1. What is that? Load driver. Okay. Let's complete step by step. Load the driver. In driver is a class. I want to load the driver. Driver is a class. How to load a class into JVM? Multiple ways are there, right? class into JVM, there are multiple ways available. If I create a object for that class, then JVM will load that class. Okay, that is one way. And there is another approach, class dot for name. Do you remember class dot for name? No. In the reflection API, we discussed about class dot for name. What is the purpose of class dot for name? To load any class into JVM, right? Let's see here, just one line of code. If you want to load any class into JVM, you can create the object, you can load. Okay. Otherwise, you can use one line of code, class. This is my class. Insert book is my class. In the java.lang package, there is a Java class with a name called class. With a name called class. In that class, we have a static method. How to call the static method? By using class name. Class name dot method name. What is the name of the class? Class. What is the method name? For name. Class dot for name. What is the purpose of class dot for name? To load the class into JVM's memory. Simple example. I'm creating string s is equal to some value, some object. What is the meaning of this? I'm creating string s is equal to hi. What is the meaning of this? String class will be loaded into JVM. Similarly, if I create emp is equal to new emp, what is the meaning of that? I'm creating the object for the emp class. What is the meaning of object creation? Loading the class into JVM, allocating the memory. Loading the class into JVM and allocate the memory. Similarly, we can load a class into JVM without creating the object also by using class dot for name. What is the purpose of class dot for name? Class dot for name is used to load class into JVM's memory. Now, driver is also one Java class. Driver is also one Java class. Now, can I load that driver into JVM by using class dot for name? Yes or no? Come on, man. Yes, we can load that driver class also into JVM by using class dot for name. What is the name of the driver? MySQL driver. If I go for Oracle driver. So for Oracle driver is available. For MySQL driver is available. Okay. Now MySQL driver is com.mysql.jdbc.driver.driver. Like this. This is the name of the class. This is the package name. This is the package name. Similarly, if you go to Oracle database, we need to write like oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle.driver. So for the Oracle database, the driver name is Oracle driver. This is package name. This is package name. Do we need to butify? Do we know decompiler? What is the purpose of decompiler? To see the classes which are available in the jar file. Now we have downloaded jar file. What is that jar? MySQL connector. So that jar file contains MySQL driver. If I want to connect with the Oracle database, OJDBC14.jar file. Now I have MySQL connector jar. In that jar file, driver class will be available. I want to see what is the class name and what is the package name. Can you tell me how to do that? Either I can extract the jar file or I can go for decompiler. Let's go for decompiler. We downloaded the decompiler. 1 minute. Extract. Yeah. Decompiler is available. Open.exe. My Java decompiler is opening. Yes. File. This is my decompiler, guys. By using this decompiler, I can see what all the classes available in the jar file. File, open the file, jar file, go to jars folder, advanced Java, jars, MySQL connector dot jar. Yeah, opened. Com dot MySQL dot JDBC dot. There are so many classes are available. Okay, there is a class. What is this class? Driver. What is this class? Driver. What this driver is doing? Register driver. So here, what is this code? Where this code is available? Driver class. Is that a method or it is a static block? It is a static block. What is the static block? What is a static? What do you know blocks? For morning people, block is covered. What is a block? In the core Java, you learned the concept. In the advanced Java, you will understand the scenario, where to use which concept. Okay. After attending advanced Java classes, you will get more clarity on the core Java topics. Right? When we are discussing core Java, we explained inheritance, extending the properties from one class to another class, but where to use in the project, we don't know. In the core Java, we explained static block. If you want to execute any code, when the class is loaded, then keep in the static block, right? Now, whenever you load the driver, in the driver class, already static block is available. So if you load the driver class, that static block will be executed. What is there in the static block? What is there in the static block? Driver manager dot register driver. Who is doing that? Driver class. Who developed this driver class? MySQL database company. Is this driver developed by me or this driver developed by MySQL database company? MySQL database company. They created a class. In that class, they created a static block. In that static block, they are registering the driver. We will just to load the driver class. When we load the driver class, in that class will be loaded to JVM. When the class loaded into JVM, JVM class loader will load that class into JVM. JVM will check, is there any static block available? If the static block available, execute that static block. Yes, in the driver class, there is a static block. In that static block, they are registering the driver. Now, do I need to register the driver? Do I need to load the driver class? I need to load the driver class. Who is responsible to register the driver? Driver class is responsible. Yes or no? I just need to load the driver. Inside the driver class, static block available. Inside the static block, logic is available to register the driver. So this is a class, public class driver. What class they are using? Driver manager. Driver manager class developed by whom? MySQL, Sun Microsystem. Sun Microsystem. Class developed by Sun Microsystem. Driver class developed by MySQL. What is a driver manager? A class which is available in the JDBC API to manage the driver. Driver manager is a class which is given by Sun Microsystem, which is used to manage driver. Are you clear? Right. So what is the class name now? Driver. What is the package name? com.mysql.jdbc. If you go for scanner, can you use the scanner class directly or you need to import util package? Import java.util.scanner. Similarly, driver class is also available in your package. So can I use the driver directly? I need to use the package name also. We need to use the package name also. Can you tell me fully qualified name of the MySQL driver? com.mysql.jdbc.driver. That is a class which we need to load. If we load that class, this static block will be executed. This static block will use a driver manager to register the driver. Are you clear? Any questions? Driver is not a interface. It is a class here. In the JDBC, it is an interface. In the implementation, it is a class which implemented that interface. Understood? No. It is implementing the driver. Driver is a interface available in the in the JDBC. JDBC told that whoever want to implement my JDBC, you need to implement my interface. That is my standard. Right. Guys, now do you understand what is class dot for name? What is a class dot for name? Come on, man. What is class dot for name? It is used to load the class into JVM. Which class I can load into JVM? Only driver class, huh? Any class. We can load any class into JVM. Today I want to load MySQL driver. After few days I will load Oracle driver. In future we will load Postgres driver, SQL Server driver, any class. Can I create one employee class? Can I load the employee class into JVM by using class dot for name? Yes or no? Yes. So tell me, what is the purpose of class dot for name? To load any Java class into JVM memory. Now, in order to load the class into JVM's memory, I need to give the class name. What is the class name? com.mysql.jdbc.driver. Okay, let me give that name. com.mysql.jdbc.driver. Right. Now, whenever we use class dot for name, it is giving some exception. So we are going to write simply throws exception. We are going to write throws exception. Okay. Throws exception. That's it. It is giving some checked exception. I'm going to ignore that exception just by writing throws exception. Class dot for name. Can we try to load this class into JVM? Can we run this program? I'm writing just one line of code, man. One step is completed. So can we see that line of code is working as expected or not? Yeah. Right click, run as Java application. Boom, failed. Why it is failed? Can you read the exception now? Class not found exception. Okay. I am telling to my JVM, hey JVM, load this class into your memory. JVM tried to load the class into memory, but JVM not able to find where is that class. Are you clear with my point? I am asking the JVM to load that class into its memory. JVM tried, but JVM not able to recognize where that class is available. Where that class is available? Where that class is available? Inside the jar file. Where is that jar file available? In my system. But JVM don't know where that jar file is available. Now tell me, how to tell to the JVM to check for this class in that jar file? This side people are not opening their mouth. How to tell to JVM to load the class from that particular jar file? This guy, stand up. Yeah. How to tell to JVM to check for the class? Build path. What is build path? What is build path? Body present, mind absent. What are you thinking, man? Sankranti chutti. When to go home? How many days you want leaves for Sankranti? No. Huh? I committed before I met with this injury. हाँ अभी actually I planned for a trip, but अभी नहीं जा सकते, मेरा leg अच्छा नहीं है ना. You book the ticket. हाँ कब से चाहिए? नहीं चाहिए. Okay. 12, 13, 14, 15 छुट्टी. हाँ 1 week छुट्टी. No. 1 week I can't give. हाँ 10th. Then we can do one thing. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 5 days. Actually earlier also मैं वही बोला था. 11 to 15 छुट्टी बोला था. 11 to 15 holidays for संक्रांति. ठीक है. From Monday classes will be available regular. हाँ तो ये हो गया था. हाँ 11 to 15 holidays. And guys, in Sankranti holidays, your hostel people also will not provide the food for you. Yeah, if you need to purchase the food outside. If your house is nearby, better to go home. If it is long, then you can't do anything, right? Huh? ठीक है. 11 to 15 holidays for Sankranti. ठीक है. हाँ. But earlier also I told the same thing, right? Yes. I will also go to my home. I think it's been almost 7 to 8 months. I went my village. Yeah. Sankranti, I will also go there and I will come. No, I have a car. I will go by car. Even I can't drive. Actually, I thought of going for Bali trip, Indonesia. For Sankranti, but we can't go there. All right. Now, see here, guys. Yeah, sit down. You need to concentrate on the class. Okay? Yes, we are using class dot for name. What is the purpose of class dot for name? Class dot for name is used to load the class into JVM memory. I'm trying to load a class com dot mysql dot jdbc dot driver. Is it our class or it is MySQL database company developed class? MySQL database company developed class. If you want to connect with the Oracle driver, we need to load. Now, I want to connect with the MySQL database. That's why I'm loading MySQL driver. Here, when I'm asking my JVM to load the driver by using class.forName, it is giving me one exception called class not found exception. When we will get class not found exception? We are asking the JVM to load the class into JVM memory, but JVM not able to recognize that class, not able to identify where is that class. Now, as a programmer, we know that this class is available in MySQL connector jar file. How to tell to JVM to load the class from the jar file? By setting the build path. What is build path? Adding the jar files to the project. Okay. Do you know how to add the build path? Now you understand why I explained what is jar, how to create jar, how to use one project class in the another project. Now what we are doing? Their project classes we are using in our project. Good. Now tell me how to set the build path. How to set the build path? Right click, build path, configure build path, libraries, add external jars, go to jars. I downloaded MySQL connector jar file, select that jar file, apply, close. Yes, it added as a referenced library. What is the meaning of library? Jars which we are using in our project. Okay. After doing this, run our project, run as Java application. Are we getting any exception now? No. Why? Whatever the class we are trying to load by using JVM, that class available in the jar file, that jar file is available in the build path, JVM able to load that class. Okay, first step completed. Fine guys, what is the first step? Load the driver. So class dot for name. What will happen when the class loaded into JVM? Static block will be executed. Our class static block or that class static block? That our class static block also will execute. That class static block also will execute. In that class static block, what code is available? What code is available? Driver manager dot register driver. So we are loading the driver. We are registering the driver. We are just loading the driver class. That class having the logic to register itself. Are you clear? Yes. What is the second step now? Come on. What is the second step? Get connection. Get database connection. Okay. Now, in order to get the database connection, we need to use driver manager. Which class? Driver manager. What is the driver manager? What is a driver manager? Driver manager is a class which is used to manage driver. It is a class which is used to manage driver. All right. Driver manager dot get connection. I'm going to pass three parameters. First parameter is URL. That means where is your database? And second parameter, what is username? Third parameter, what is password? Driver class. Driver class we loaded, and we need to give the URL. We need to give the username. We need to give the password. Are you clear with this? Now, database username we know. My database username is Ashok IT and its password ashokit@123. Right. I have given driver manager dot get connection URL, username and password. What is the purpose of get connection? What is the purpose of get connection? It is used to get the connection with the database. All right. Now here URL I'm going to configure JDBC colon MySQL colon localhost colon 3306 / advanced Java DB. That is the database URL. All right. So database URL will change from database to database. This URL will work for which database? This URL will work for MySQL database. Now JDBC colon MySQL colon localhost colon 3306 / database name. Do you remember we created that database? Yes or no? Database name we created. The database we are giving 3306 is the port number of the database. What is this local host? What is the local host? In the same machine, our database server is available. JDBC colon MySQL. Tomorrow if you go for Oracle, JDBC colon Oracle. When I'm going for MySQL, JDBC colon MySQL. Driver manager dot get connection, database URL, database username, database password. Can I declare them as a variable and can I use the variable here? Yes or no? It is a string value, right? Can I say it is a string literal? 3 string literals, right? We can declare here also private static final DB URL. Yes. Now similarly, private static final string DB URL. Similarly, why I am giving final? Is it going to change in future? No. People are asking 1 week leave. Are you in school? Huh. Right. Now what I have done, guys? What I have done now? I declared a database credentials as a variables. Now, wherever I want to use them, can I pass the variables like this? Database URL and database कहाँ गया? Database username and database password. URL, username, password. I'm giving those three variables as parameters for get connection method. Get connection method will get the connection with the database and it is going to return connection. And it is going to get the connection. Okay. Connection is an interface available in java.sql package. We got the connection. Connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection. What is the purpose of get connection? What is the purpose of get connection? It is used to establish the link between database and Java. Once we get the connection, let us print really connection established or not. I'm printing the object. What is the meaning of object printing? Can you guys tell me? What will happen when we print the object? ToString will be called. ToString method will be called. Right. Run as Java application. Oh, failed. Okay. Can you see here? Client does not support authentication protocol requested by server. Consider upgrading MySQL client. Consider upgrading MySQL client. Maybe the jar file issue. Let me check it. MySQL connector. No. Let me do one thing. Let me change the jar. Is my URL correct? JDBC colon MySQL colon localhost colon 3306. 1 minute, guys. Let me check is my URL is correct or not. JDBC MySQL localhost 3306, that is correct. com.mysql.jdbc.driver, that is also correct. com.mysql.jdbc.driver URL JDBC colon MySQL colon localhost 3306. Maybe the issue with the jar file. Let me use another jar, guys. Build path, configure build path, MySQL connector jar. Let me remove, add external jar. I have the jar which is downloaded by Maven. Go to users, maven.m2, repository, MySQL connector. MySQL connector. MySQL connector Java jar. Apply and close. Loading the class. Yes, now it is loaded. It is deprecated. The new driver class is com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. The driver is automatically registered by the manual loading of the driver class is generally unnecessary. All right, fine. We are able to load the driver class by using class.forName. Once the driver is loaded, how we are getting the connection? What is the method we are using to get the connection? By using driver manager.get connection, which is jar file I have used to load the driver. The jar file I will share in the group, guys. MySQL connector Java. In the Maven, I downloaded the jar file MySQL connector Java. Yes, MySQL connector Java 8.0.3.0.jar. This is a jar file I have loaded. I configured that jar file in the build path. From that jar, I'm loading my driver class. Once the driver class is loaded, are we able to get the connection? Yes, we are able to get the connection. Step 1, load the driver. Step 2, get the connection. What is the proof to say that we got the connection? When I run the program, it is printing connection object to string format. Loading the class com.mysql and it established a connection. What is that? Connection IMPL. We got the connection object. We got the connection object. Once we got the connection object, what is the next step? What is the next step? Create a statement. What is the purpose of statement? To execute a query. Now, see here, based on the connection, I'm going to create a statement. Connection dot create statement. Connection dot create statement. So here it is going to give us statement object. It is giving statement object. Import that package java.sql. Java.sql.connection, Java.sql.driver manager, Java.sql.statement. So we are able to load the driver, we are able to get the connection, we are able to create the statement. Step 3, create statement. Create statement. Once the statement is created, what is the next step? Forgot the steps, huh? Load the driver, get the connection, create the statement. Look at these 3 lines of code. Remove this SOP, not required. Look at the 3 lines. Load the driver, get the connection, create the statement. To load the driver, we are using class.forName. To get the connection, we are using driver manager.get connection. To create the statement, once we got the connection, connection.create statement. Statement object is created. Once the statement is created, then we need to execute the queries. Now, I want to insert one record into table. Okay, can you tell me the query for that? String SQL. Okay, let me write that here only. Private static final string insert SQL. Insert SQL. Right. Insert into books values. Okay. 101. Some Java price some 1000 like this. So this is my insert query. Insert into table values, book ID, book name, book price I'm giving. So this is my SQL query. My query is ready. How we are going to execute the query? By using statement. By using statement. Okay. Yeah. Static final string insert SQL. Perfect. Once we got the statement, now we need to execute the query. Now, guys, database queries are divided into 2 types. Database queries are divided into 2 types. First category is select queries, retrieving the data. Another one is non-select query, insert, update, delete. Yes or no? So they are called as DML and DQL. So what is the DML? Data manipulation. Insert the record, update the record, delete the record. That is called DML operation. What is the DQL operation? Data query language. Select the data, retrieve the data. Now I am performing DML or DQL. DML or DQL? DML. I'm trying to perform DML. If you want to perform DML operation, if you want to execute DML query, in the statement, we have a method called execute update. What is the method, guys? Execute update. I'm passing my query. If it is a DQL, execute query is the method. Okay, execute update, execute query. What is the difference? Execute update is used for DML operation. Execute query is used for DQL operation. Okay, now I'm calling execute update. This method is giving output. Rows affected. How many rows are affected by your query execution? That row count will be given as a output. Are you clear with my point? What is the purpose of execute update? To execute a query in the database. How we created, how we are calling that method? By using statement. Statement dot execute update. Okay, this is our step 4. Execute query. Execute query. I got the result. Process the result. Whatever the result you want to do, process the result. Process result. I want to print on the console system.out.println records inserted. Record inserted count. Record inserted count. That is our rows affected. Rows affected. Finally, what is the last step? What is the last step, guys? Close connection. We got the connection now. We need to close that connection by using connection dot close. That's it. Clear, guys? Look at the code. 6 steps converted to program. Class dot for name, driver manager dot get connection, connection dot create statement, statement dot execute update, print the record count, how many rows affected in the table. Once all our operation is completed, then connection dot close. Are you clear? Yes. Now let us go to database and check in our database how many records are available. Select star from books. Select a star from books. Run the query. Yeah. In the books table, do we have any record, guys? Is there any record available in the database? No. Can I say my table is empty? Yes, our table is empty. If I run my program, what is the expectation? If I run my program, what is the expectation? It has to insert one record into database table. Apart from those 6 steps, are we doing anything extra? No. Loading the driver by using class dot for name. Getting the connection by using driver manager dot get connection. Creating the statement by using con dot create statement. Execute update. What is the meaning of execute update? Execute the query. Which query we want to execute? That query we are giving as input for that method. That query is executing. It is returning the int. What is that int represents? Number of rows affected in the table. Then finally, we are printing the count and we are closing the connection. How we are closing the connection? Con dot close. Con dot close. Perfect. Save this program. सब लोग भगवान को नमस्कार करो. First program, right? Will it work or not? I don't know. हो गया? No. All right. Run as Java application. Record inserted count 1. Not Java. Go to database and check. Select star from Wow. We are able to insert. We are able to insert one record into database table by using Java program. Okay, guys. Now, for next to 10 days, we are going to discuss JDBC. What is going to change? Next to 10 days, JDBC only. What is going to change every day? Do you think that this code is going to change? No, only this line will change. Every day, what we need to do? New query. Today we executed insert query. Tomorrow we will execute update query, delete query, select query. That's it. You know JDBC now. हो गया. You know JDBC. Is there anything new in the JDBC that we need to do? JDBC means 6 lines of code. That's it. JDBC means 6 lines of code. Are you clear, guys? So now, what is the main purpose of JDBC? To perform operations with the database. To what operations you will perform? Third operations: insert, delete, update, retrieve. That means for insertion, insert query; for updation, update query; for deletion, delete query; for retrieval, select query. Are we going to change the steps? We just need to change the query. If you know how to write the queries, JDBC completed. What, man? People faces are not believing that. Not completed, huh? Yeah, that will come to that. You need to execute the query multiple times, right? So this query, how many times we are executing? One time. If I want to insert 10 records, 10 times you need to execute the query. That's it. Huh. Now, simple example. You need to read the data from the keyboard, enter ID, enter name, enter. Then you can supply dynamic data. You can insert the record. Okay. If you have this knowledge, if you have this knowledge on the JDBC, that is sufficient. That is sufficient because, and that too, to be frank, are we going to write this code in the company? No, no. If I teach JDBC for 3 months also, there is no use because we know how to communicate with the database by using JDBC. Tomorrow, we no need to do this coding. But tomorrow, when it comes to Hibernate, sir, how Hibernate communicating with the database? Hibernate will internally use this code. We are not going to write that code. Here, when we are learning JDBC, we are writing this. Going forward in the frameworks will execute that code by default. We no need to write that code. Are you clear, guys? Very good. Excellent. Yeah, note down. Note down the program. Okay. कल से सर लेट है. Come on, guys, note down the program. Sorry, guys. Yeah, anything you can load. Anything you can load. Huh? What happened? 11 o'clock. We'll confirm that, sir. No. Guys, first note down this. I will give that. I will give that class. Guys, note down this program. You need to practice it. Huh? Scroll down. What, sir? Understand and write it. Don't just copy paste. You need to understand what is the purpose of line. What is the purpose of that? What is the purpose of that code? You need to revise in your mind. Then you need to write it. Don't just copy paste. There is no use of copy paste. You need to understand that. Why are you writing that line of code? Queries we need to construct. UI means queries will come from UI. UI will be used by end user. End user will only fill the data in the form. Data will come from UI. Query we need to construct in our program. This is the new class, driver class they have given. Just CJ, before JDBC, just CJ is available. That is a new driver class. Okay, guys. It is insert query, man. What you want to copy from that? All are from java.sql package. Everything from java.sql. Completed. क्या लिखना? इतना लेजी हो गए भाई आप. स्मार्ट बॉय. Guys, nowadays in the interview, they are asking to share the screen and write the code. So you need to remember the steps of, suppose if you are attending interview as a fresher, they will ask you, can you please write a program to retrieve the data from the database using JDBC? That code should be there in your brain and you have to write that code line by line. And they will ask you, what is the purpose of that line of code? So you need to remember that code also. Interview means not just theory. They are asking programs also. You should be able to write the program on the screen. Not only for Java, for every software technology people, they are asking coding. They have to share the screen, they have to write it. So you should be very good in that coding skill. What is the method? What is that method parameter? What is the method return type? Everything we need to understand. Next, make a note below that. To run the above program, 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 we need to set the build path for. To run the above program, we need to set the build path for. To run the above program, we need to set the build path for. We need to set the build path for MySQL connector jar. To execute the above program, we need to set the build path for MySQL connector jar. Because MySQL driver class will be available in the connector jar file. Because MySQL driver class, because MySQL driver class will be available, because MySQL driver class will be available in MySQL connector jar file. Because MySQL driver class will be available in MySQL connector jar file. Next note, if we want to connect with Oracle database, if we want to connect with Oracle database, if we want to connect with Oracle database, we need to load Oracle driver class. If we want to connect with Oracle database, then we need to load Oracle driver class. If we want to connect with Oracle database, then we need to load Oracle driver class and we need to set build path for. We need to set build path for. We need to set build path for OJDBC jar file. We need to set build path for OJDBC jar file because Oracle jar file, Oracle driver class, because Oracle driver class will be available in Oracle driver class will be available in OJDBC jar. Oracle driver class will be available in OJDBC jar. Understand? Just look at the code once. I'm taking a class. In this class, I have taken some variables, guys. Database URL, database username, database password, insert query. I have taken URL, username, password, query. I have taken. So tomorrow, if I want to update the record, what I need to change? Just query is going to change. Do I need to change anything else? No. We are just going to change the query. Okay. Then inside the main method, I'm taking class dot for name. What is the purpose of class dot for name? to load the class into JVM, that is driver. Database to database, driver class will be different. So we are using Oracle database, sorry, MySQL database. I'm loading MySQL driver. They have given one more driver class, that is a new driver, MySQL com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. Earlier we used the old driver. Now in the latest version of that implementation, cj.jdbc.driver is available. Okay, let me change my insert query 102. Instead of Java, I will Python. It is 2000. I'm trying to insert one more record into the same table. So just I modified my query. Remaining steps are same. Right click, run as Java application. I'm running my Java program. Record inserted count is 1. Go to database and check this. Select star from table. Can you see second record is also inserted in the database? So like this we can insert multiple records into the table. Similarly, can we update the record? Can we delete the record? Can you guys do that as a task? Record updation, record deletion. Right, assignment. Huh? String na? I did not get your question. Can you come again? No. I'm changing in my program. I am running that, right? It is just a normal variable. Outside the class, we can't access these variables. But inside the class, we can access, we can modify our code and we can run that. Why we need to modify in the workbench? Workbench is just a client to execute your query and check it. Data is inserted or not. Workbench is just to execute your queries manually. Now the query I'm executing from Java. From Java, I'm inserting the record. From workbench, I'm checking the record is inserted or not. Got it? Yeah. Assignment. Develop JDBC application. Develop JDBC application to update a record. Develop JDBC application to update a record in database table. Develop JDBC application to update a record in database table. Next one. Develop JDBC application to delete a record. Develop JDBC application to delete a record from database table. From database table. Okay, guys. You understand how to develop our first JDBC application? Yes. Huh. Yes. I will explain that. Properties class we can use. Everything you can pass in the database URL. I will explain those methods. Right? Yes. Anybody having any questions on these 6 steps, guys? Anybody having any questions? Commit. So yeah, he's asking a very good question, guys. You inserted one record, you did not commit that. Again, you inserted one more record. How the records inserted in the database permanently? Commit operation we are not doing, because whenever you call con.close, this close method is going to commit the transaction. Okay, so con.close, whenever you close the connection, releases the connection object database resources immediately instead of waiting for them automatically released. Okay, whenever you do this, it is recommended that an application explicitly commit a rollback and active transaction prior to calling the close method. If a close method is called, if there is any active transaction, the results are implementation defined, it will commit the transaction also. Whenever you call con.close, if any transaction is available, it will auto commit that transaction. We are going to discuss a transaction management In that we will understand. Okay, this is our first application only. So we will understand those topics. Transaction management, how to perform retrieval operations, okay, and how to work with result set object, what is a batch operation, what is a connection pool. Those topics we are going to discuss. Yeah. Any other questions, anyone? Sorry, some people are not accepting. Huh. Why are you not uploading class notes? Huh? I'm dictating the class notes now. I'm already dictating the class notes, Ajay Kumar. I'm not writing complete notes here. I'm dictating. You are writing the notebook. You have to write it. Okay. Fine. No questions? What is the purpose of execute update? What is the purpose of execute update? Execute update is a method which is used to execute DML queries like insert, update, delete. What is the return type of execute update method? What is the return type of execute update method? What this method is returning for us? Integer. What is that integer represents? Number of rows affected in the database. Right. Note. We can execute types of queries. Keep a heading, types of queries. Keep a heading, types of queries. Queries are divided into two types. Database queries are divided into two types. Database queries are divided into two types. First one is DML. DML queries are non-select queries. Create, update, create or insert, create, insert, update, and delete. Second one is DQL queries. These are also called as select queries. Select queries. Database queries are divided into two types. First one is DML queries. So DML queries are also called as non-select queries. Create, insert, update, delete comes under DML queries. Okay, data manipulation language queries. DQL, data queries, retrieving the data. Those are called as select queries. So to execute non-select queries, we have execute update method. We will use below method. We can write, we will use below method. We will use below method, that is execute update. Execute update. This method will take query as a parameter and it will return int. Execute update. To execute non-select queries, we will use execute update method. Take the syntax of the method. Return type is integer, parameter is a string. Parameter represents which query you want to execute. Return type represents how many rows affected by that query execution. Once that query is executed in the database, how many rows affected in the database table will be returned by that method. That method return type represents number of rows affected by that query. Note. The above method parameter represents query which we want to execute, and method return type represents how many rows affected in DB table with the given query. To execute non-select queries, we will use below method, which is execute update. It will take SQL as input and it will give int as a return type. The method parameter represents query which we want to execute, and method return type represents how many rows affected in the database table with a given query. Clear, guys? So what is the purpose of execute update method? What is the purpose of execute update method? It is used to execute non-select queries. What is the meaning of non-select query? Create, insert, update, delete. Those are non-select queries. So which query we want to execute, that query we will give as an input for the method. And what is the return type of the method? Integer. What is that integer represents? How many rows affected with that query? How many rows affected with that query in the database table? Next. So here, creating a table also can be done by using execute update method. Create table query also we can execute. Inserting the record, updating the record, deleting the record can be done by using execute update. Now I want to retrieve the records. Can I go for execute update to retrieve the record? No. So to execute a select query, select star from table. If I want to retrieve the data, then I need to execute a method called execute query method. All right. Next point. To execute select queries, to execute select queries, to execute select queries, we will use below method. We will use below method. Result set is the return type and the method name is execute query. It will take query as a input. To execute a non-select query, we are done. To execute select queries, we will use execute query method. To execute select queries, we will use below method. That is, result set is the return type, method name is execute query, parameter is a query. Method parameter represents which query we want to execute, and the method return type represents records returned by the select query. Note this. Yeah, guys, just read the points once. You need to understand when to use which method. Database queries we have classified into two types. One is non-select queries and the second one is select query. Create, insert, update, delete operations comes under non-select queries. Retrieving the data comes under select query. To execute non-select queries, we will use execute update method. To execute select query, we will use execute query method. What is the parameter is same. Both methods are taking string as a parameter. What is that string represents? Which query we want to execute. Now, what is the return type of execute update method? What is the return type of execute update method? Integer, right? What is that integer represents? With this given query, how many rows affected in the database table? Okay. Next one, execute query. What is the purpose of execute query method? Execute query method will represent select query execution. So which is select query you want to execute, we will give as the input for that method. What is the return type of execute query method? Result set. What is that result set represents? What is the result set represents? Number of records given by the query. Select star from table. I will get all the records from the table. Select star from table where book ID is equal to 1. First record only will come. Okay. Result set will represent how many records we got with the given select query. So the results will be stored in the result set. From the result set, we need to retrieve the data. From the result set, we need to retrieve the data. Are you clear, guys? Yes. So can you develop update application and delete application? So tomorrow I will develop select application. Tomorrow I will show you how to work with result set object. Thank you, guys. We'll continue tomorrow. Tomorrow same timing, same time. Evening 5 o'clock. Morning 11. Tomorrow I will confirm on the 11 o'clock class. But tomorrow we don't have class at 11 o'clock. Tomorrow we have class at 5 o'clock only directly. Yes. Yeah. Online people, tomorrow new Zoom link will be there, guys. So please contact admin team for the new Zoom link. You can access the Zoom link in the portal.